Tell us about, because we've heard rumors, but we want to know what you say about the relationship between Betty White and Bea Arthur.
It worked when it needed to, and otherwise, they didn't have to be best friends off screen. I mean, when I said before that the thing about Bea was that she played a character who was tough and vulnerable with a deep voice, that's physically who she was. It didn't match her interior at all. There was such a mismatch there. And in fact, she told me, like, I always wanted to be a young, cute blonde who played, like, the floozy in a Roadhouse movie like Ida Lupino. Like, she was conflicted about her outer appearance. I think that's why she wouldn't admit to having been in the Marines, which later came out. And she would always say she was 5'9.5" in her stocking feet, but she wouldn't wear shoes. She didn't want to be any taller. I think there was just a mismatch because inside she was not tough Dorothy who could level you with one blow. She was really a vulnerable, easily hurt person. And you contrast that with Betty White, who was the exact opposite. Betty White had that sweet grandmotherly exterior, was so kind to people, and that was genuine. However, it came from a place inside that was very strong. She was very strong and grounded in who she was and what she believed, and she wouldn't take people's guff. And so she was the one who you wouldn't really want to cross more than Bea. I mean, you wouldn't want to cross Bea because if Bea didn't like you from the beginning, she would get mad and you'd never get to see the good part of her. But you wouldn't want to cross Betty either because Betty had the strength to go toe-to-toe with you, which is why she survived in this business until age 99.
Right.
So when you look at the two of them, they were just set on a path to conflict. Betty was sweet on the outside and tough on the inside. Bea was the reverse. Betty came from game shows and television and had never done theater. Bea was kind of a theater snob that if you hadn't done theater, you weren't an actor. Now, I think Betty actually won her over with talent and changed her mind about that. But they were due to butt heads there too. Betty was a genius who could look at a script a few times and have it memorized. Bea liked to stay on book till the very end and thought that Betty was trying to make her look bad by being off book. And just everything about them was oil and water. And so, Bea also had this thing where she didn't like disingenuous people. She hated phoniness. I mean, she's in Hollywood and she hated phoniness. No wonder she was so unhappy so many times. But she saw in Betty phoniness, and I don't think it's phoniness. When I say about Betty, what I think Bea was saying the same things I just said about Betty, but viewing them as phoniness. I view them as two strengths. She had the strength to be nice and the strength to know herself. Bea saw it as, how could you be both at the same time? That Betty is putting on this niceness and this grandmotherly bit, and she'd stab you in a minute. I think that's what Bea thought. And so Bea just didn't like her.
It was part of her persona on camera as well. Oh, in the meantime.
And she could twist the knife. Yeah. But that's why she was so brilliant at comedy, because Sue Ann could be syrupy petting Murray's head and saying so sweetly, "You're bald." And, she could be twisting the knife as she's being so sugary.
All right, she checks her makeup in the reflection of Murray's head. That is the greatest bald joke ever.
Yes.
And Jim does the same thing at home.
And it works.